It's Pearlmania500, the husband and wife duo podcast, where one of them researches the lore on a topic, and the other one sits there and takes it to their face.
Yeah.
Last week
Was a bad one.
it was a bad one. It was a rough one. Rough indeed.
Oof.
Yeah, but this week,
Fun.
much funner.
Good times.
Also,
Yeah.
before I even play the theme song,
Yeah.
let me just hit this.
That's right. Facts. Big facts.
This episode, we promise, Mrs. P, right? I'm looking at you because I didn't do the research.
No.
We promise is going to be better.
It's going to be a great time.
This is the fun type of episode you want to listen to on a Monday at your job.
Light-hearted, good fun.
Okay, good. The whole episode's going to be like that, right? Not one moment is going to not be lighthearted, good fun.
I don't know about that. I can't make this kind of promises.
There's a place where you can't stay when the world gets too insane. Yeah, when the world gets too inane, tune in to Pearlmania. Brony talks and pony jars and saying a sonic race just. Fitness scams and grifters, damn, and various other miscellaneous. So there's this place where you can stay to let those Pearlmans save ya. Pearlmania, Pearlmania, Pearlmania 500. Take it away, Pearlmans, and remember to smile.
Thank you so much. His Name Was Dusk, always bringing us that great, wonderful theme song.
Good vibes only.
Good vibes only episode. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, it's been a week.
Yep.
We released a Mrs. P's Book Club episode.
Yep.
Confessions.
Yep.
It involved some AIDS milk in there.
Yep.
Listen to the episode if you don't know what we're talking about there.
Well, spoiler alert.
Well, the whole episode's a spoiler alert. But yeah, if you haven't listened to that one, go back and listen to it.
Yes.
It was actually a wonderful time. The beginning's a little rough.
It's a rough book.
It's a rough book, but here's the thing.
It was funny.
It was funny. Yeah, it did. I really did enjoy the book. And then we also had last week's episode, which we put a bunch of extra announcements on. This week, we had a long discussion.
Yeah.
I said, listen.
We gotta be fun.
I said, fucked-tober.
Yeah.
You're thinking like, this is fucked. No,
Yeah.
I'll also be like, oh, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's fucked.
I need to tell you something. I have swung the pendulum in the other direction completely.
Yeah.
I don't even think this would qualify for Fucktober, what I've done research on.
Yeah.
It a lightly fun, spooky good time.
That's what we were looking for.
Yeah,
so
that's
we're going.
what I had suggested a month ago, and then you said Fucktober, and then I followed your directives, and turns out I just go a little too hard.
Yeah. This is, you know what this is?
What?
This is the four cup dog scoop all over again. So for the listeners out there, we need to understand when you have somebody in your life
Let's hold hands.
who doesn't understand moderation.
I don't understand.
Maybe because they're friends with a guy named Bill.
Yeah.
When you have somebody like that, you can't give them a container and then tell them to fill up the container halfway.
No.
So we have a very large dog.
Yeah.
And dogs on very large dog breed food. And reading the instructions, talking to the vet was like, give the dog 2 cups. So I go out and I'm like, I need a scoop that is 2 cups.
Yep.
Well, I couldn't find one that was proper for that size. Found a scoop, though, that was about 4 cups. And when you scoop it, you scoop half of that scoop.
Yeah.
Well, Mrs. P over here, Mrs. P believes that if you were handed a 4-cup scoop,
Yeah.
you do one full scoop.
You just scoop it.
Yeah. The same thing in the past when we've had a different dog where we used to use a red Solo cup, and I said it was half a Solo cup. And then one day I looked over, heaping Solo cup.
I've never had half a Solo cup in my life.
Exactly. And so because of this, I've learned over time.
I am the Pringles commercial.
Yeah. So imagine the word fucked in Fucktober the way, but like make it a squishmallow.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's fucked. Like, it's kind of cute.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's fucked up.
Yeah, oh man, that's so fucked. Not like, we're going dark. This is fucked. So
I
yeah,
like your Rob Zombie impersonation.
that's not
Very
Rob Zombie at all.
Halloween.
That was
Very Halloween.
Okay, that was okay. All right. Anyway, we have some shout-outs. We have some other things to go over. So let's keep this intro going with some Hey Hans.
Hey, hon, let's meet our team leaders.
For first times and long times, as you know, Hey Hans are our Patreon members who have paid $3, $5, or $30.
Feds.
$3 is the Hey Hun tier. $5 is the team leader tier, which gets you also voting rights on our Patreon for future episodes and for future topics. And the $30 Fed tier is the same as the $5 tier, but you're Fed, so you got to pay us more.
Got to pay more.
Because obviously you're part of a propaganda wing of an organization. So with that being said, let's go ahead and greet some new Hey Huns this week. First up, we have Ronnie _Dasani _the _milktoast _mafia.
Hey, hon.
Ronnie Dasani and the Milquetoast Mafia.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one.
I like that a lot.
After that, we have Sarah Painter.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Sincerely VG.
Hey, hon.
After that, I got to open this one up because it's so long.
Oh, so big.
After that, we have, this is all one word.
Okay, cool.
After that, we have text Pearlmaniac500 to 500-500 for a free Blue Chew sample.
That's the hope and the dream.
Yeah.
One day.
It should be 555-5000 there, buddy. I just want to let you know. That's it. It was clearly a 555, fake number.
Oh, I see.
Because 555 numbers aren't real. That's in Hollywood.
Real.
That was the one they would always use on TV shows. Call 555, 1-800-555. After that, we have Bill Burr in his Jared Leto era. That got you? That one got you? Bill Burr in his Jared Leto era?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, is that about me?
Yeah.
Fuck you. I was like, wait, is Bill Burr dressing up weird and started a cult?
What?
Oh, that's me. After that, we have Just a Plain Simple Tailor.
Hey, hon, that's so much more unnerving than the other ones.
What?
Like if you're like Bill Burr in Jared Leto era,
yeah,
that
funny.
Would be scary.
But this is a Garrick. Reference
I know.
from Deep Space
But
Nine.
the way you said it was very scary.
Just a Plain Simple Tailor. After that, we have Danny.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Witch of the Waste.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Free Palestine.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have Bear.
Hey, hon.
After that, we have the _Garden Witch.
Hey, hon.
And lastly,
okay,
this is a very long one.
All right.
We have Making Grown Men Read Akatar is My Roman Empire.
Yeah, we did. The poll closed.
Yes.
The team leads voted.
Yes.
And you are going to read A Court of Thorn and Roses, right?
Yes. And we
went to the store, went to Barnes & Noble. We paid cash money.
Yep.
To get a copy of the book. I was going to go to the library and rent it, but I felt like I wanted to be able to have this in our collection to remember it forever. So we actually purchased a book.
That's true.
Yeah, because I think it needs to live on our shelf in memoriam forever of this experience of you reading this book, which people are incredibly excited for. It's
very true. People are very, very excited for it. It is. It's a thick book. I actually was. I was actually kind of shocked of how much of a thickum it is.
Mm-hmm. He was also shocked to find out there's like 5 more or 4 more.
I wasn't shocked to find out that there's 5 or 4 more. I was shocked that they were all right there, ready to go, ready to become a part of my life.
Yeah. They said, you're going to like this first one.
We also went through and... we posted on the Instagram picture of me holding the book.
Yeah, last night.
And a lot of people, a lot of strangers came out of nowhere. It was just like, oh, your brain's fucked. Yeah. But then again, a lot of people from our listener base have also told me that the book isn't that bad. Which, I don't know what level people are coming from on this one.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think the only way you're going to find out is to get in there.
I'm going to have to get deep in this book.
Yeah, you're going to get your bookmark ready.
I'm going to get thickum deep in this book. But, to the listeners out there, we're going to be in for an experience. And so I want to thank everybody who helped us reach the 500 Patreons before I begun reading this book and having my life ruined.
Yeah.
So with that, we've been recording a lot this week, even though you guys haven't heard it. We're putting a lot of episodes in the can for when our parental leave comes in 2024, and we'll be telling you more about that in the near future.
Yeah.
But with that, Mrs. P, is there any other announcements that we need to say before we go take this bumper.
No, I don't think so.
All right. I think we're good.
I'm sure I'm just going to need one bumper, though.
Just one?
Just one.
Okay. So just one is all you've ever needed. So with that, when we come back, and you will tell us all about your topic this week, which is?
Halloween.
Just Halloween?
Yeah. That's it.
Just Halloween.
Yeah.
The topic is just Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
This is Halloween. This is Halloween.
Very that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But cute Halloween, though, right?
Kind of, sort of.
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, come on, let's just get there.
Okay. Let's take that break.
Pearlmania, 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 Pearlmania
500. All right, Mrs. P, tell us all about
Halloween.
Yeah.
One of the best holidays. It's in the top 3.
What's the top? There's a top 3 of all.
There's a top 3 of course, you don't have a top 3 of your favorite holidays?
Well, I want to know what your top 3 is.
Oh, Thanksgiving, Christmas, then Halloween.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, then Halloween. In that order?
Yeah, Thanksgiving is number 1.
Thanksgiving's number 1.
My favorite holiday. You know this.
Well,
I feel like you're playing dumb for the listeners, but Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday.
Because you like to cook.
I love cooking.
Yeah.
I love a big meal.
Yeah.
I like when everybody comes over and we eat a big meal and we sit around and are sleepy and play silly games together and talk shit.
Yep.
That's the best.
Okay.
And then you also get Friendsgiving.
Yep.
Your friends come over and you do the same thing but with your friends.
Yeah.
I love that.
What about Christmas?
Christmas is great. Christmas has a little bit of stress added to it. There's like, you got to get the gifts. There's like always like, where are we going for this? Where are we going for that? It's a little bit more stressful, but it has a larger amount of cookies involved that I do love.
Okay.
Because at Thanksgiving, I'm pie heavy. I'm here for the pies.
Yeah.
I got many pies to make.
Yeah.
Desserts.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas, an assortment of cookies.
See, here's the thing. You've made me hate Christmas.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Okay. So like
no. I didn't make you hate Christmas. You never liked it to begin with.
I was never an enthusiast.
Yeah.
I didn't have much of an opinion besides I better get a Super Nintendo this year.
Yeah.
That was always my feeling.
So little jerk kid.
Yeah, of course.
Uh-huh.
All right. But then I met you and we started dating and I just slowly discovered that you are the greatest present chooser in the history of the world.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You will pick out a present for somebody that no one will ever expect but will also be life-changing for them. And then here's the really fucked up part.
Yeah.
Then I come to find out that while that is kind of true for the people you really love, you also do that for people you barely know from your present closet. Because you have a fucking closet of gifts, of random things that either people have given you that you're regifting that are nice quality, or things that you're like, you never know when you'll need this for a gift.
Yeah, so...
And they're all... No. Don't cut me off.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's rude. They're all life-changing levels. Meanwhile, there's me, which I'll find something that I like and I think is really cool for you, but I might find that in July through October. But then I don't want to hide it from you because that feels weird. So I just give it to you.
In July.
And then I'm sitting around in December with my thumb up my ass, and then I ask you, what do you want? And you go, well, I really have everything I need. And I said, that's not what I asked. I didn't ask what you need.
Yeah.
I asked what you want. And then you look at me like, well, you should just know. And now I'm the asshole.
Yeah.
And this is your fault because you ruined Christmas.
I think that I thought you were going to take this in the direction of, I love decorating heavy and hard, and then you end up having to put up a lot of lights.
No, because you do that to me at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
and at Halloween.
It's true.
So like that doesn't even count anymore.
But I thought
it used to be.
I didn't realize this was going to be the
at my
thing.
parents' house. At my parents' house, my mom would only do up the house for Christmas. Right? Halloween was like they had like 2 things they put on the lawn, and then they were like, "There's a pumpkin." That was Halloween.
Yeah.
You're like, we're going to do webs. This year's theme is spiders.
Yeah, the spiders theme was such a good year.
Yeah, but then we had to take it down.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what's so funny about the spider theme, little plot twist, is when we're taking down all my spider accessories and webs and like all the little spiders I hid everywhere that scared the mailman, is a bunch of spiders like nested in the spiders. So like I would be picking them up and there'd be like an egg of spiders in the spiders that were fake and the real spiders, and it was the whole thing, and I was giggling the whole time, and you were like, this is gross.
No, it wasn't. That wasn't the part that was gross. It was that you stretched cotton spider webbing
yeah.
all over the bushes.
Yep.
And then we had a lot of rain last year.
Yeah, that was gross.
And then I had to pull it off. So it's wet cotton that is bunched up, that is part of the fucking bush.
Full of bugs.
It's not going to rot in a way that makes any sense for months. So I have to do a good job to remove it.
And we got to get it down because we got to get Christmas up.
Yeah, and on top of that, I had to, it didn't matter because last year we didn't get any fucking trick-or-treaters.
We got some.
So we decorated, we got like 3. And like half of those were teenagers who didn't care.
Yeah, they were cute though.
Yeah, whatever. They were literally wearing hoodies.
They were having a good time.
They just showed, like one kid was just wearing a Spider-Man hoodie.
Whatever.
It doesn't matter.
I'll give a college kid candy at this point. I don't care.
Listen, all I'm saying is it gets annoying to put up decorations.
See, he is annoying
just to take them down.
But yeah, so
you do that to me for all of them, not just Christmas.
Christmas closet is a thing I do year round. Because what happens is, insider information, anytime you're at like a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's, you're going to find something that's like really cute and a good deal. Just buy it. Just buy it in April. Put it in the closet. I've got like beautiful cheese boards, a beautiful kettle or something like that.
So many
like
fucking cheese boards.
$20. You just put it in the closet, and then when Christmas rolls around, you got white elephants for work. You got some family member you don't know enough about. Bing, bang, boom, cheese board, kettle, random gift. It's easy peasy. And then with
knockoff Yeti.
Yeah, knockoff Yeti. And then also with your gifts, it's just I'm better at gift giving than you, and so I win every year.
No, I know.
But you're the one that made it a competition.
Because you're too good at it. What are you fucking talking about? It's awful.
Yeah, it's great.
It's fucking awful.
It's what
I come from a family. No, hold on. My family, okay? Because my dad's. Yeah, we're gonna get to it. We'll get to Halloween in a minute. My family.
This
right?
is the Nightmare Before Christmas.
This is. So in my family, there was a certain point where my sister and I realized Santa Claus was a lie early.
Yeah.
Very young.
Okay.
And then it became one of these things slowly over time. We're like, well, it's just coming from our parents. And our parents were like, it's just coming from us. And we're like, yeah. And so then it became one of these things of like, why are we going to get you the wrong thing? Tell us exactly what it is you want.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point with school and after school and all that different stuff where you'd have a day where you'd be at the mall, at the toy store, or wherever. And my mom would be like, this what you want? This exact video game right here, that's what you want? Yes, that's what I want. Okay, go into Macy's and go look at boys' clothes. I'll meet you there in 20 minutes. Because that was her buying the video game, putting it in the car, pretending it wasn't what she just got me. And that was my life. So that was just like, whatever. You just get the person exactly what they want. Yeah. And then you showed up one day with a fucking bidet attachment
10
for me.
10 years ago. Oh my God, I forgot about the bidet.
Yeah. You bought me a fucking bidet attachment.
Incredible.
And it changed my fucking life.
It's an incredible gift.
Yeah. Now I can't shit anywhere else.
Okay, so...
I'm not giving clearance for my medical information right now. I don't want you telling people about my raucous hemorrhoids I used to have. And that you fixed my life by buying me a fucking bidet.
I bought a bidet, a Tushy. Reach out to me, Tushy. They do affiliates. So I bought Alex a Tushy as a gag gift because we do so many Christmases because of like children of divorce and such.
Yeah.
And
your huge Catholic family.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Christmas parties. And so there's one where we always do like more of a gag silly gift. And so I bought the bidet thinking this would be funny because it says like have a good poop on the box and like it's very silly.
And also
wait, no, let me finish.
Okay.
So what happened was everybody had a good laugh at the Christmas Eve party. They were like, oh my God, this is so funny. It's like says silly poop things on it and it's so funny, blah, blah. And then the next day at Christmas, we're at our house and my family shows up, my dad's side. And my dad, again, plumber, HVAC, is like, yo, let's go put it in. Let's go. Come on, let's go upstairs. Come on. That's my brother.
Yep.
My brother and my dad go upstairs. They install a bidet. It's a whole thing. And then everybody after dinner takes turn using it.
Yeah, after a big Christmas dinner.
But so every person comes downstairs at some point during the night and goes, yo, that thing's pretty good. Yo, listen. And my cousin Christian, who is the broiest Northeast Philly dude that ever existed, love you.
A literal roofer.
He was like, yo, that was life-changing. And he went and he bought one that day.
Yeah.
He bought one online.
The other thing to make note of is that you gave me that when we had moved into our first house that we had owned.
Yeah.
We had lived in a few rentals before then. So it was also like I had never owned the toilet before. So it was like that. So I'm like, okay, I guess this is something that you don't do. But no, it's also, we then sold that house and moved into a rental. And I've moved this bidet now. It's on its 4th toilet.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to hook up and unhook. And
again, at tushy.com. Come at me.
Yeah. Well, listen, we'll talk.
Well.
We'll talk.
So, yeah, I love Christmas. I love buying people gifts. That's the problem.
But that's the part that's weird.
When you ask me what I want, I don't really think about it. I just think about...
Because you don't think about yourself. Because you're a selfless jerk.
I just love
You're an asshole. When it comes to yourself, what do you want? Oh, I don't know. What do you want to eat? Oh, I don't know. Fuck you.
But listen, I'm still a bad person. I hold grudges. I remember deeply some of the gifts I've really thought about and got people nice things, and then they didn't say thank you, or they were really mean to me.
I know. This is the spider web's trap that I'm stuck in. Because there's been how many times have you told me like, oh, you don't need to get me anything for our anniversary or something, and then like,
never.
Oh yeah, I've just thought of this thing, and then it just shows up, and I'm like, what is this? Like, oh, it's just the thing that you've been thinking about since you were 8. Because you sneak into my dreams, you nightmare monster. Now tell me about Halloween, your 3rd favorite.
Third favorite.
Your 3rd favorite. That's the part I'm still shocked about. It's 3rd. I would have thought it would be higher.
I think Halloween is super fun when you're a little kid. It's super fun when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
Because all the candy, you're running around the neighborhood. It was so fun growing up. Where I grew up in Philly is like all row homes, so like trick or treating was like hundreds of houses if you really wanted to.
Bing, 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 bang, boom, boom.
And so trick or treating was super fun when I was younger, and then my dad and I both love Halloween costumes. So when when I was older, we would make like our decorations would always have a theme every year, which I still do. And I'll just like, my dad and I and my brother would get really into it. So when the trick-or-treaters would come, we'd like make a whole like thing. Like one year, I'll never forget, my dad got a bunch of dry ice and put it on the grill, because we had a grill in the front yard. And so he was like, he had this like big fake mask that had like gory pustules on it and a chef hat and like a greasy spoon chef thing, and like, but it was covered in blood. And then my brother and I were dressed up like prep cooks, just like chopping veg next to him. And then when he opened the grill, the dry ice would like cloud out. But then when he looked on it, he had gotten like battery operated animatronic body parts, so it looked like there were hands being grilled on the thing.
Yeah.
And so when the kids came up, they'd be like, trick or treat, and then he'd turn around and be like, I'll get you the candy, and he'd open the grill, and then they'd all scream. It was a great time.
Yeah.
So I do love Halloween, but she's still my 3rd fave.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, one thing that sucks about Halloween now is the growth in trunk or treat.
Yeah, there's not as many kids because they all do trunk or treat.
Yeah, and I think it's actually destroying local communities.
I think so too, because you don't know your neighbors as much. You have to go to some church, and that's just a trick to get me to go to church.
Yeah, and it's also just one of those things where you don't know your neighbors as much. It also was a way to introduce yourself to people. Mm-hmm. New to the neighborhood, all those different things. It was just like, oh yeah, I love your house. Oh, I live 3 doors down. Because people don't talk to each other. Yeah,
which again is why I go so hard with Halloween decorations, because when we moved here, I wanted that our neighbors like come over and say hi to us.
Yeah.
So but it didn't matter how many kids came, or just any kids that came, we were happy to have them.
Which sucks, because the first year we barely did any decorations because we had just moved in.
Yep.
And we got more kids.
Yep.
And then the second year we went all out on decorations, and then we got like virtually no kids.
This year we're gonna get bombarded.
Yeah, because we have literally one ghost.
I can't.
There is a single ghost hanging from the front of the house.
I apologize to the Halloween gods. Your girl does not feel good enough to come up with a plan this year, but I'm still gonna go hard for Thanksgiving.
I'm still mad you won't dress up as pregnant Sonic. I'm just going to throw it out there.
I'm putting this on the record. Listen, everyone, there have been many requests. I know it would be so funny. I know it would be so funny if I dressed up as pregnant Sonic.
Yeah.
Because I am very pregnant, and I could paint myself blue, and we could make a video of it. And I understand it would be so funny.
It would get hundreds of likes.
It could never be deleted from the internet.
Yep.
And I cannot, in good faith, allow a picture of myself dressed up as a pregnant Sonic to live on the internet when inherently our child is in that picture. Okay? That's the part that freaks me out, especially everything you've told me about what pregnant Sonics mean. And all the Sonic stuff is hypersexualized. I cannot, in good faith, do that Halloween costume.
That's fine. Okay, so Mrs. P is going on record that she's a coward and doesn't like what the audiences enjoy. So tell us all about Halloween, you stick in the mud. This better involve a great pumpkin.
No, I don't have any of those.
Okay, so where are we starting?
We're starting in the village of Hiawatha, Kansas.
Hiawatha, Kansas?
So we're going to Kansas. We're going to start in Kansas.
Okay.
The morning after Halloween in 1912, a woman named Elizabeth Krebs was tired of having her garden and her entire town vandalized once a year by marauding children wearing masks.
Wait, what?
So basically, this lady, every year on Halloween, the kids, they would dress up for Halloween and go trick-or-treating, but also Mischief Night hadn't been separated out. So on Halloween, they would just go fucking buck wild, right? Like they're kicking pots over, they're knocking fences down, they're rambunctious, they're doing shenanigans and crimes, having a good time, basically.
Wait. Mm-hmm. So you mean to tell me that if America went and started a purge night, that would be a return to tradition?
Yep.
Okay.
So she was so upset. She was so fucking tired of people messing with her garden.
Yeah.
That she organized a party for the young people the next year. Okay. She used her own money, her own fucking time, and she planned a big party for all the kids in the town because she felt if we could have a big enough party, it would tire the kids out and then they wouldn't have enough energy for destruction.
Oh, yeah. Like you can tucker kids out from destroying things.
And the next sentence is, she underestimated their determination for destruction.
Okay.
However, after her party, the community was vandalized as usual the next year.
Okay.
In 1914, she involves the entire town. She gets the entire town on board. And they hire a band. They do a costume contest. They put on a fucking parade. And they wear the fucking kids out, okay?
By wearing themselves out,
wearing themselves out. They have a really good time. Everybody of all ages enjoyed the festivals, and rather than be disruptive on Halloween, kids went trick-or-treating, and it was a good time.
See, the thing is, I'm torn. I don't know what I'd rather do. I don't know if I'd rather spend a full night in costume dealing with parades and trick-or-treating and live bands and music and the lights and the sounds and the feeling of warmth and community, or if I'd want to just rebuild a fence.
Okay.
I don't know which one.
I know you.
Yeah.
It's fence. I'm at the park with the community. You're building a fence.
Yeah. Okay.
With your earbuds in, listening to a podcast about Richard Nixon.
Oh man.
The weekend plans.
Oh, do y'all hear? Do y'all hear it? Did you hear what just happened right there?
What?
Did you hear her just pick out my perfect day? And she's gonna gift that to me someday because I married Leslie Knope. You're the fucking worst.
That's a great compliment.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I do love waffles. Okay, so news of her success traveled outside of Kansas to other towns which adopted similar courses of action. Big Halloween parties, costume contests, food, dancing, sweet treats.
So real quick.
Yeah.
So the kids are destroying everything, right? Through their rage and discontentment of their places in life. Mm-hmm. And the town's in action was to create an atmosphere of such joy and love that and just fun that people stopped, the children stopped destroying stuff.
Yeah.
But like where's the SWAT teams?
Okay.
Where's the tear gas?
I don't.
Where's the kettling? Like, listen, when all I'm saying is like these teams.
Sir, this is Kansas in 1914. Calm down.
Okay.
Okay, so so sometimes when you start researching Halloween, where did Halloween come from?
Yeah.
Mrs. Krebs is sometimes cited as the mother of modern Halloween.
Okay.
People give her a lot of credit for starting Halloween, okay?
Yeah.
This is not entirely true.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
So this is how a lady who was mad about her fence got on city council, started a parade to get these kids out of her fucking garden. Okay. And then, it worked.
And then slowly that turned into Hershey's and Reese's Pieces and all that stuff.
But no, because Halloween already existed. People were already trick-or-treating. This was just their fucking town needing to do a big thing the day of. Because the mischief night aspect of it
had gone so
crazy.
Okay.
So, but she gets a lot of credit for starting Halloween, but she didn't start Halloween. So most of the research I did was about where the fuck the origins of Halloween come from.
Oh, okay.
And I thought you'd like it because you love a history.
I do love a
little history.
Okay.
So first we're going to talk about Gaelics, the Celtics, Ireland.
Okay.
My peoples. I'm going
you really
to...
caught me off guard there because first we're going to talk about gay. I was like,
Nope.
Licks. Oh.
What was I going to say? I'm going to butcher so many words.
Oh, yeah. No, Gaelic
Get
is
ready.
very difficult.
I apologize in advance.
Which is crazy because that's technically speaking, that's your mother tongue, you potato loving psycho.
No, yeah, it's true. But so let's see. Samhain. Do you know what Samhain is?
No.
Okay. So Samhain is spelled Samhain, and that is your first lesson in Gaelic. That looks like Samhain, but it is Samhain.
Like Sláinte.
Yeah, like Sláinte.
Yeah.
Or what's that one name? There's that one name I love. Saoirse. I don't know.
Saoirse?
It's Saoirse, but they spell it so crazy.
Wait, are you talking about that one lady who was the actress, Saoirse or whatever it is? Yeah, like, I can't figure out for the life of me.
That's Gaelic.
Yeah.
So
it's like when I see the Vietnamese name that is pronounced Nguyen.
Yeah.
Nguy. I know, but I had so many friends growing up who had Vietnamese last names, and every time they'd show up with an NG in their name, I'd be like, we're fucked, dude. We're never making it out of this one alive.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
Okay.
Okay, so Samhain is a pagan religious festival that originated in the ancient Celtic spiritual tradition.
Okay.
It's usually celebrated from October 31st to November 1st to welcome in the harvest and usher in the dark half of the year.
Okay.
So
the dark
half of the year. Celebrants believe that barriers between the physical world and the spirit world break down during Samhain, allowing more interaction between human and the denizens of other worlds. So this is where we start to get our ookie spookies.
Okay.
Right? October 31st, and technically it goes till November 6th, is the Samhain week.
Okay.
And it's believed that during this week, the physical world and the spiritual world become easier to access to each other.
Huh.
And this is the belief system. This is where we get the ghosts, we get the spirits. And this is why people will start to say that around the end of October and the beginning of November, it's like if you start waking up at 3 a.m., it's because there's spirits trying to contact you. Oh. There's a lot of like that.
I thought it was just because of daylight savings time.
No.
And also I thought it was because the election day was coming up.
It's because of your cortisol levels. You can't sleep. So ancient Celts marked Samhain as the most significant of the 4 quarterly fire festivals. So every quarter, spring, summer, harvest, and winter, there'd be a fire festival.
Real quick.
Yeah.
We're going to go, just for the listeners out there, because I can already feel a few of you starting to type with your thumbs. We're going to say Celts and Celts.
Yeah.
We're going to go back and forth on that pronunciation.
I apologize in advance.
I know. I'm just throwing it in there.
Where'd the sun go?
It just went away.
Oh my God. That was crazy.
That was crazy. The sun just went behind a very dark cloud.
I hope that's what it was.
It was like someone just turned off the lights outside.
Crazy. It got so dark all of a sudden.
Oh my God. What if that was the aliens passing in front of the sun and we're all about to die while we're recording this podcast?
Perfect. Please.
I can think of honestly, it's what I look forward to every week, recording this podcast with you.
Yeah.
So I could think of no better time to die.
Thanks.
I mean, last week would have been a terrible day. I would not want to die during last week's episode.
No. This week, though, we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, let's die.
No.
Let's die happy.
Stop it.
All right.
Okay, so there's festivals for every solstice of the moon that go along with the seasons, right? Yeah. During this time of year, hearth fires in family homes were left to burn out while the harvest was gathered. So, historically, if you have a hearth in your home, you have a fire going, you always had one kid. Maybe this is why you have so many kids.
Yep.
You have one kid whose job it is to keep the fucking fire lit, dude.
Yep.
Keep the fire lit. You don't want the Krampus to get in. That's a different episode.
Yeah.
So you got to keep the fire lit all the time.
Because you also have to keep the coals going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so what happened is during Samhain, they would actually let it go out. Everyone would leave the house. All the kids, you have to go do the harvest. You have to partake in the Samhain activities.
Okay.
And so this is a big deal culturally. Like you're letting the fire in the house go out. So after the harvest work was complete, they would go to a giant celebration, which was put on by Druid priests. And they would light a community fire using a wheel that would cause friction and spark flames. The wheel was considered a representation of the sun, and was used along with prayers as a way to ask the spirits to come join us. Right?
Gotcha.
Cattle were sacrificed, and participants took flame from the communal bonfire back to their home to relight the hearth.
Okay.
So this was the main significance. We have a community fire. we're doing all these prayers and the spiritual work with the Druids. We take some of that community fire and we bring it back to our hearth for the whole next year. Again, because you're not going to let your hearth go out again until Samhain. Early texts show that Samhain was a mandatory celebration lasting 3 days and 3 nights where the community was required to show themselves to local kings and chieftains. Failure to participate was believed to result in punishment from the gods, usually illness or death.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I think historically they're like, okay, if
so it really is like a community building thing though. Like I'm saying that but we were talking about with trunk or treat versus going door to door.
Yeah.
It was a way to show yourself off to people because you know what, when I was growing up as a kid, the houses where nobody was home on Halloween or when you knew they were home but like they were in the back.
I hate them.
Worse. No, immediately I was like, those people are weird.
Those people are the fucking psychos.
Yeah.
And there's one on our block, and I don't like them.
No.
They're fucking weird.
How
are you not going to give out candy to these little kids?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'm not saying you have to sit out front like we do, holding a big bowl.
Dressed up,
playing Ghostbusters music. Wondering why these kids who are all dressed up like different versions of Spider-Man aren't coming over to your fucking sidewalk.
It's fine.
But don't just like turn your lights off.
Don't do that. It's weird. Okay, so there's also a military aspect to Samhain.
Okay.
In Ireland, the holiday thrones prepared for commanders. There were thrones prepared for the commanders of soldiers. So so you would go and you'd see the chieftains. You would go and see the old kings, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's so community based that the soldiers in their different armies that they had would have like thrones set up where they would sit and kind of, they're just drinking, let's be honest, drink and eat and blah, blah. And the thing is that you could not commit crimes or use any weapons to hurt anyone during Samhain.
Okay.
So it was like an elevated crime to commit a crime during these 3 days.
Okay.
And if you were found to be committing any crime, specifically anything where you hurt someone, like physically, or you maybe hurt them, immediate death sentence.
Oh.
Immediate. You stole a loaf of bread during Samhain, you're done. So it was a very important, and I think it might have to do a lot with the fact that all of the soldiers and their people that would be protecting the community were probably very drunk, and they were like, "There's no oversight committee." So they're so drunk.
There's that. Plus, you're also getting you're getting everyone to leave their homes.
Yeah, so the homes are completely empty. No one's there to watch over it.
Yeah, so to have trust that you could leave your home, because this is also a time before locks.
Yep.
Like locks are actually a pretty modern invention. All those different things. Back in the day, you used to always just have one person left behind, or you just be like, well, if somebody gets in. Yeah. What are they going to steal? They might steal our one good pot.
The hay on the floor we
No, they might steal our one good iron pot.
If someone stole my good pot,
yeah,
I would burn their house.
They might steal my copper pot.
So a lot of documents also mention that like these, again, 3 to 6 days, it really depends on what you're looking at historically, 3 to 6 days. It's a lot of drinking alcohol in excess. It's a lot of eating. It's a lot of like really gluttonous feasts. It's a lot of good time.
This is kind of amazing because like there's a lot of lore about the Druids, and it truly is lore because we actually don't have a lot of history about them because so much of the Druids weren't written down.
Yeah.
And a lot of them just killed themselves when the Romans came in. Well, or the Romans killed them. It was kind of a dual combo thingy there. So it's actually interesting that it goes this deep in Ireland with Halloween.
And also, we'll get into it, but Catholics.
Yeah.
So there was also this idea. So again, the drinking thing is really part of like the party part of Samhain. We're celebrating the harvest. Also, there is this belief system that once you reach a certain level of drunk, you would be able to communicate with the gods and the dead.
Well, I mean, that's true. That's just true.
So
let me tell you.
Listen, if you just got to get drunk enough, then you'll be able to communicate with the spiritual afterlife and like all this stuff.
Well, if you eat the worm, you get superpowers.
Okay.
What?
All right. We're not going to do that. You're not allowed to eat the worm, okay?
Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
Because I've already gotten superpowers.
So, because Celts believed that the barrier between the worlds was breachable during Samhain. They prepared offerings that were left outside of villages in the fields for fairies and seeds. And now seeds is like, okay, listen, we all know what a fairy is, right? We can picture a fairy in our mind.
I'm about to read a whole book about them.
Yep. But the fairies that are in your book that you're going to read are a little different than these classic Celtic fairies.
Okay.
The Celtic fairies were tricky. They were mean.
Okay.
And they were trying to kidnap you.
Okay.
And you had to do nice things to them so they leave you the fuck alone.
Okay.
Okay. There's another part of that.
So they're landlords?
Okay. Well. So they live in the woods, and you got to give them a little saucer of milk every day, or they're going to be upset.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's also another type of fairy fae type of thing called Sid, but they're also called Sieg. They're again the terminology SIDHS or SIGHS or SIGS. The translations go on and on. So like I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah,
it's another version of fairy, so we're just gonna go with fairy.
Okay.
So also the Celts would dress as animals and monsters so that fairies were not tempted to kidnap them. So again, the fear is always that fairies are going to kidnap you. They're not Tinkerbells.
Yeah.
They're like medium-sized, mischievous critters that live in the woods and want to kidnap you and your kids and take them into the holes under the trees.
Okay.
Okay, so it's bad. You don't want to get kidnapped.
Yeah.
So this is when they start dressing up during Samhain as animals and ogres and monsters so that the fairies wouldn't kidnap them.
Gotcha.
Okay. There are some specific monsters and ghouls that are associated with the mythology surrounding Samhain, including a shape-shifting creature called a puka that receives harvest offerings from the field. So pukas would like the puka shell, but they're not. They're kind of what we would call a goblin today. Like
okay.
They're little. They're kind of little, but they're shapeshifters. They're considered to be bringers of bad fortune, but also good fortune. So this is we're already getting it messed up.
Oh, like a Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, they could help or hinder you. They really like to stay in rural and marine communities. So Ireland, all of it.
Yeah. We like to be in rural communities. Oh, yeah. And also marine communities. Okay, so you like to be in the middle of nowhere and by the ocean?
Ireland it is.
Yep.
You're going to have a great time. Puka can have dark or white fur or hair. The creatures were said to be shapeshifters. They could take the appearances of horses, goats, cats, dogs, or bunnies. They also would take human form. But when they would take human form, it would have like features of animals. So like it'd be like a human with donkey ears type of thing.
Oh.
Okay.
So like they couldn't quite. So like they're like Odo. They just can't nail it.
They can't nail it. It's got that thing, the
uncanny
valley.
Okay.
So like it's like, oh, it's a person, but it's got
goat
legs. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. From a distance, they look normal. When you get a little closer, you're like, something's off. Why are his pupils square?
Yeah. Oh, goats. Goat eyes are so weird. I love goats, but their eyeballs are so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so no matter the shape the puka takes, its fur is almost always dark. So it's always going to be a black horse, a black goat, a black cat.
Gotcha.
It most commonly takes the form of a sleek black horse with a flowing mane and luminescent golden eyes. So beautiful. The answer is a beautiful horse.
That sounds more like that also sounds like a cat. Like it's a black horse with golden eyes. I'm like, oh, I see a black cat with gold eyes.
Yeah. This is the thing. Pukas are mischievous, and they're always trying to get humans to like go with them on like I want to call them adventures, but like they were like if they were a horse, they'd be like, get on. You want to go for a little ride?
Oh, let's go for a little ride.
You want to go for a little ride?
Yeah.
And so the thing is like you got on there, they are going to take you for a ride. And it's like, that's their mission.
And that's how you wake up in Boston.
So their whole thing was that they wanted to confuse and terrify humans. And so there's also this other type of kind of mythical beast called a Kelpie, which would also...
I've heard of these.
They would very similarly shapeshift trick you into like going into the water with them. So it'd be like a mermaid or some type of ocean thing. They'd be like, come on, let's go for a swim or ride on my back. I'm a dolphin. And then you'd get in the water and then they drown you immediately and eat you.
Yeah. Which is what the dolphin would do.
Yeah, a real dolphin would do that.
Real dolphins actually do that.
I think that they might have just seen dolphins and they're like, I don't know what to call that.
Well, that's a fucking kelpie. Also, these feel, it's also very funny because like you're describing these things to me and I'm like, yeah, no, I know that one from D&D. I know that one from Pathfinder. Like I know of them, but like they've been tweaked slightly.
Yeah.
For trademark purposes. But yeah, the Kelpie was I definitely did a D&D game a while ago where I basically created a Kelpie type of people. But yeah, they were really fucked up and just stealing sailors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there were certain agricultural traditions that surrounded the puka.
Okay.
Basically, like I said, this is a harvest festival, and when the last of the crops are brought in, we're bringing in all the crops, whatever was left in the field, right? Sometimes they would be like, little pieces of this and that, and like stuff that wasn't perfectly cultivated, so it would just be left in the field.
Yeah, and
they would do that on purpose. Everything left in the fields was considered to be for the puka. This is our offering.
Okay,
right, and they believed that by leaving a small share of the crop, this would placate the hunger of the creature. So it was called the puka share. The puka share.
I know, it just sounds, because you mentioned puka shell necklaces earlier. So it's just like the puka share.
And so November 1st was considered the one day a year that the pukas would behave civilly to a human. Because they got on October 31st, they got their little field share. And on that one day, November 1st, they were, you didn't have to worry about that the beautiful horses running around might be out here to get you.
Oh, what about them beautiful black goats over there?
Nope.
November 1st.
November
1st, the other day they pushed back.
So then the other thing I found out, this was interesting.
Real quick, though, just because you mentioned the puka share, it does remind me very much of, like, I think it's in the Bible, where the Old Testament, you're supposed to leave like a tenth of your field for the poor.
Exactly.
It's just that general idea of leaving behind. Listen, you don't need all of it. Mm-hmm. You don't need all of it. Take what you need.
Leave the rest.
And leave some behind because other people are going to need it. It's just amazing how, like, as a culture, through our current world, we don't believe that about anything anymore. There isn't any of leaving, sitting aside.
Who is the we?
Is
the we in the room with us?
Okay. All right.
So, also, in some parts of Ireland, it was believed that so whatever was left of the harvest that was left for them, that was the puka share, right? But also, it was believed that after November, certain wild fruits were considered inedible and unsafe because the pukas would have defecated or spit on them. So it's like this idea that like November 2nd, they're like, yeah, thanks for this. But then they go around spitting on everything else and you can't eat it.
Yeah.
I think this might have just been like, hey, funguses are growing. And they didn't know what fungus was. But they're like, the pukas must have poisoned these.
Well, and again, not to tie it back to Old Testament shit, but it's the same thing with kosher ideas. Like the reason you would need certain shellfish is because of red tide.
Yeah.
And because we don't have refrigeration. So you're like, hey, stop eating shrimp. Every time you eat shrimp, somebody dies from shitting themselves to death. Well, don't eat it. Why? I don't know. God said. Oh, okay.
Oh, God said.
Because listen, you have to tell me God told me to not eat shrimp.
Yeah.
Because I've had shrimp and I love them.
No.
Same thing with bacon. All these different things where they're like, don't do that. I'm like, all right. Like rats. Yeah, I'm not going to eat rats.
No.
They're not delicious.
No, I always heard that, you shouldn't eat anything that can carry its house on its back because you don't know the last time it was cleaned.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's a good saying.
It's from Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Oh, I read that there's kings in the forest, and if they poop in it, they poop in the vegetables. If you pick them after November 1st, it's just full of their shit.
So anyway, there's other spooky characters we have. From Samhain. Okay. There's Lady Gwyn, who's a headless woman dressed in white who chases night wanderers. She's often described as a forlorn woman who appeared dressed in all white and was sometimes headless, always evil and vindictive. She would pretend to be a lost soul, and she would lure people, usually men, and when she would catch them wandering at night, my favorite part about her, other than just like tricking wandering men and being known as evil and vindictive no matter what, she was always accompanied by a black pig.
Huh.
So like in all of the imagery of her is just like this woman in a white gown. Sometimes she's headless, sometimes she's not, but she always has a little friend. She always has a little black pig next to her.
Okay.
And I was like, listen, she got a friend. I like that. I like when people have a sidekick, even when they're weird, spooky ooks.
Yeah. That's wild. I like that. My favorite part about this, though, is, oh, yeah, she's always evil. She's always tricking men. I'm like, well, you also told me that every man was hammered. So what do you see? It could have been 5 fireflies. It could have been 5 luminescent bugs at night. Like, I'm going to fuck it. And then they fall into a pit and they drowned.
Got him.
Yeah. Oh, must have been Gwen.
Lady Gwen.
Must have been Lady Gwen. Got him again.
Gwen got him again.
Okay.
Okay. So then another little ooky spook we have is the Dulhan. It's spelled Dullahan. Dulhan.
Okay.
He is a headless man on horseback who carried his head, riding a flame-eyed horse, and his appearance was considered an omen of death to anyone who encountered him.
Okay. So it's just a headless horseman.
This is the origin.
Okay.
We found him.
Okay. The Dulhan.
The Dulhan used a human spine as a whip.
That's badass. I like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was extracted from a corpse of someone he had killed.
Well, I'd expect it to be.
And that's what he whipped the horse with.
It's got to be a strong spinal cord.
In later years, the stories of the Dulhan's appearance often developed near graveyards or charnel vaults, where wicked charnel vaults, where wicked aristocrats would be reputed to be buried. Actually, I did a little sub note on charnel vaults because I didn't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah.
So I have a little note here about it.
Okay.
You know what it is?
I have a general idea. But...
So a charnel house or vault is a building where human skeletal remains were stored. It was often built near churches or cemeteries and used for depositing bones that were unearthed when digging graves. So basically, in countries where the ground suitable for burial was scarce, corpses that had been buried for 5 years would be dug up, put in the vault. The bones would be put in the vault, and then the burial places would be reused.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're on an island...
Well, okay, so that's like in New Orleans, where we get the term "give them the shaft."
Exactly.
Yeah. So for our listeners out there who don't know, you might be old enough to remember Hurricane Katrina reminded you that New Orleans is at or just below sea level. Mm-hmm. So because of that, they can't bury people in the ground.
Yeah.
Because, when that floods, suddenly there were bodies floating down the street.
Yeah.
And so that became a big problem. So they built the above ground mausoleums. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the more wealthier families would have a family mausoleum. And what you do is you'd put a body in there, right? So you have, a whole generation of people and they're in there. Well, after a couple generations, you're like, well, it's getting full. What do? Well, they have a center pit. Mm-hmm. And what they would do is they would push the bones of a dead relative that everyone has kind of forgotten or has had their time being up there. They would push their bones into the center pit. And so they'd fall down this shaft into the center pit. And then you put the new body in there. Mm-hmm. So that's where the term getting the shaft comes from.
Open that pit up.
That's different.
That's different?
Open that pit up. But you see, you were like, oh no, this is just more goofy. You're talking about a man.
Okay.
Whipping a horse with a spinal column while carrying his old head.
Yeah.
How is this not Fucktober?
So
instead you're like, it's just spooky.
It's spooky.
So he's using the corpse column of his victims.
So the Dulhan is not always a mounted horseman in some of the lore. Sometimes he appears as a headless coachman who drives a horse-drawn carriage out of graveyards or opposite into graveyards. So if you see him during Samhain, and he's driving a carriage, he's coming to take your ass to the cemetery.
Yeah.
Also, it was one last thing is he was also noted in like some of the lore, the stories, is he would lash the horse furiously. So this is mostly when he's a coachman versus when he's a horseman.
Yeah.
When he's a coachman, he is like lashing the horse really aggressively with the spine to go faster.
He's whipping him.
And the thing is that he would strike witnesses blind. So like if you ever saw the coachman and he didn't want you to see him, his lashing, he would always accidentally, in quotes, hit your ass in the eyeballs.
Yeah.
With his spinal column whip, causing you to go blind. And it was believed this was the wrath of him because he couldn't see because he's headless.
You know what's crazy? It was that period in the early 2000s when the Duhan got really into nu metal and rode a motorcycle, and he would come to the ring to American Badass by Kid Rock, and also Rolling by Limp Bizkit.
Is this Nicolas Cage? Who
no,
are you describing?
I'm not describing the Duhan.
Okay.
Keep rolling, rolling, rolling. You're saying he has different appearances in different eras.
I'm saying
this is very much like the Undertaker.
So some people believe that the Headless Horseman, the whole
Duhan,
whole Duhan Headless Horseman is actually from the story of Crom Dubh, which I cannot say, CROMDUBH, which is like a whole thing. I could do a whole episode on him. He is the Celtic kind of god that went up against St. Patrick.
Oh.
So when St. Patrick came to Ireland and he was fighting the pagans, there's one god who he really went against, and that some people believe that the Headless Horseman, as the original Headless Horseman, was Crom Dubh running from St. Patrick, but then going around. But it's like, it's weird because all of it is like Catholic propaganda at a certain point. Of like St. Patrick went in and told the pagans what to do. So,
but also I don't know my St. Patrick history too much, but I don't even know if he ever even made it to Ireland.
Yeah,
like in reality, like I don't think like it's one of those crazy ones because like you'll hear like St. George and the Dragon, right? Mm-hmm. And like St. George's Cross, and he's the patron saint of England. He was in Lebanon. He never even made it to.
Yeah.
He never made it out of the Middle East.
Listen,
so
it gets whole
so
episode
weird
on saints. There's so much lore.
Oh, you're gonna.
Oh my god! And can we have that guy that makes the fun tassels? Can I have him on?
Okay, if he'll talk to you.
I need to call him. He's great.
No, I love Catholic saints because they're all insane.
Yeah, listen.
And the deeper you go into them, you're like, why? And then they'll torture the person. They're like, oh, what happened to them? Oh, they got poked. They got shot with 60 arrows and then lit on fire. Oh, that's why they're the patron saint of arrow makers. And you're like, but why would they only listen to the people who make the weapons that kill them? Like, I don't know. Why don't you ask Jesus Christ, patron saint of carpentry? What? You got taken out by wood.
Actually, he's not the patron saint of carpentry. His father, Saint Joseph, was.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a big old joke I was making. Well, you didn't have to know actually me.
Sorry. Okay. So anyway,
you just turned into a white guy in a Twitter comment. Actually, his dad was the patron saint of carpentry. I was just trying to think of famous deaths. All right, it'd be like making JFK the patron saint of book depositories. Book depositories is what I was going to say.
During Samhain, you had to look. The other thing. So during Samhain, you have to keep your eyes peeled. Your eyes peeled in the sky.
Okay.
At all times. You're having a good time. You're doing your harvest. You're out there. You're drinking. You're eating a lot of food. But you better keep your eyes peeled on the sky.
Okay.
Because there were groups of hunters known as the Slog, spelled Sluagh, Slog, or called fairy hosts, which would try to kidnap people.
Okay. I think that might be the Slough, but all right.
Yeah, let's say that.
Okay.
Slough. So the Slough is composed of the souls of the dead flying in the air. On Halloween, they would take what was described as a crescent form, similar to like birds, and they would approach and pick up people from any direction and transport them far away into the air from one island to another, and you would disappear forever because the Slough came and got you.
Okay. So they're just big birds.
No, they're flying dead spirits.
No, I get that, but they're acting like big birds.
Yeah,
because they're just coming down with their big two talons. They're grabbing you and ripping you out into the sky.
They're taking you away,
and they're taking you to another island.
Another island.
They're just like, and honestly, I bet for some of them at the time, like that sounds great. It's like both a curse and a treasure. Anywhere else but here.
As the Middle Ages progressed, so did the celebrations of the fire festivals. Bonfires known as... Okay, this is the thing. The name of Samhain changes through the Middle Ages, right?
Okay.
And it starts to be called... I cannot even begin to think of how to pronounce this, but I changed it in my notes because it sounded so much funnier to Soundanigans. Because it was like known as a party more. So I was like, oh, they're up to Soundanigans. But it's like the beginning of Samhain, but then it says NHNAIGNS. It's insane.
Do you have it written out?
No.
No. Okay.
I just changed it to Soundanigans to make myself
I wanted
giggle.
to give it a try.
No.
Okay.
I just changed it to make myself giggle.
So Samhain turns into Soundanigans.
Soundanigans.
Somebody out there actually knows Gaelic.
Oh my God! Please write in.
And
number one, I apologize. Number
they
two,
are losing their mind.
Number two, correct me. Number three, thank you so much for listening. Okay.
This is like that recording of Benedict Cumberbatch when he can't pronounce penguins.
Wait, what?
You never heard that?
No.
I'll play it for you during the break.
Okay.
There is it's him and he is voicing like Planet Earth or one of those.
How does he say it wrong?
You were gonna be shocked.
Okay. So here's the thing. When we get to the Middle Ages, these fires become closer to the households. So instead of the whole people going out into the community, the big bonfires start to become closer to the houses where people lived. The idea, again, to protect you from fairies and now witches. Oh. So you got to create the fires closer to home to make sure that the fairies and the witches don't get you. We also start to see in the Middle Ages carved turnips called jack-o'-lanterns begin to appear.
Oh.
They were attached to strings and embedded with coal. So they put a little bit of coal in them to light them up.
Because turnips are nowhere near as big as pumpkins.
Yeah. And if you've ever seen them, there's historical images of the turnips. They're the funniest thing. They look like little shrunken heads.
Oh.
Because as they dry out, they shrink even more.
Because they had a coal in them too. So it's shrinking them.
So they look crazy. It's so funny. Later traditions, obviously, we're switching to pumpkins. But again, we're using... a squash. Well, turnips are root veg, but
oh man, those are terrifying.
They're gross, right?
I just pulled one up. They got little teeth.
So imagine those being covered in hanging from strings outside of
with their
house.
Little glowing eyes. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh, this is terrifying.
Also, we start to see more games associated with Samhain. As the Middle Ages come around, because again, we're starting to become more of a party, okay? More of a party in the idea of smaller events in homes and smaller groups. But so one of the things that started happening is fireworks, okay?
Okay.
Also, noisemakers, just being really loud, making noise.
Yeah.
And in Wales, there was a start of a game where men would toss burning wood at each other. They had a lit wood toss in Wales.
Lit wood toss? Okay.
The Welshmen were going wild out
because
here.
they didn't have potatoes yet.
Yeah.
So this is an early form of hot potato.
Yeah, they're playing hot potato, but with wood that's been lit on fire.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the Welsh.
Yeah. That's just men.
Yeah, just guys.
That's just guys. That's just guys being bros.
Bros being bros.
Hey, do you want to go outside? Oh, you want to toss the old football? Nah, we haven't invented football yet. Oh, you want to play some cornhole? Nah, we haven't invented cornhole yet. What do you got? I got this flaming pile of wood. Want to throw it at each other?
Hell yeah, dude. Let's go.
I bet I could throw it better than you could throw it at me.
So I'm sure you've heard of bobbing for apples, right?
Yeah.
So
how is this sinister?
Well, here's the thing. It's not sinister. Bobbing for apples, which is, you fill a barrel with cold water and then you put apples in it and then you got to dunk your head and try to bite the apples. What actually was... started it was a game called Snap Apple, which is a little different.
Snap Apple.
Okay. And so with Snap Apple, what they would do is actually take an apple and put it on a string and hang the string from a stick from the ceiling. And what happened on the top of the stick, they put a lit candle. And so you would be kind of lunging upwards to try to bite the apple. And if you made any mistake, too slow, too fast, whatever, if you grab the apple wrong from the string, it would actually burn you with hot wax. And that was what Snap Apple was.
Wait. Okay, so they have basically a stick sticking out of the wall.
Uh-huh.
Like a long flat stick with a candle on it.
Yep.
And the goal was to bite an apple
hanging from
without pulling the stick.
Yeah.
Because that's going to tip the candle.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I got wax in my eye.
Yep.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Snap Apple. That's where bobbing for apples came from. Is they were like,
someone was like, why don't we replace this with water?
Yeah. Well, because I'm sure somebody's house burned down.
There's no way someone's house didn't burn down. You're building a fucking spring catapult with a lit candle that you're flinging at the wall.
Yeah.
This is insane.
So, it was also expected that this time of year that your ancestors might cross over during this time as well.
Cross over to where?
Well, because the veil is so thin.
Oh, they might come back?
They might come visit you.
Oh, gross.
Right? So
stay away from me, old timers.
So
the only thing we think around this time of year is voting and local municipal elections.
All right. So listen, this is where we get the tradition of dumb supper.
What?
Yep, dumb supper.
What is this? What are you talking about?
Okay, so dumb supper, like D-U-M-B, dumb supper.
Yeah, I understand the concept of dumb.
This begins where, as part of Samhain, families wanted to invite their ancestors to join in dinner.
Okay.
Because again, the veil's thin, your ancestors are going to come through, they're going to come visit you, and this is going to give you, your family, a chance to interact with the spirits. So what they would do is they would, at night, they'd leave all the doors and windows open for the dead to come in, and they would make a whole supper that would be left out, a dumb supper, but that's just for the spirits to come and eat. So like the family that lives there, they'll eat their supper, but there'd be like a table next to them filled with food laid out.
Okay.
But it's just for the spirits.
This is like leaving a place for Elijah, the prophet Elijah, to come to your table.
Yeah.
The same general idea.
Also, they would prepare small baked cakes marked with crosses, and they would be set out usually on like windowsills or on small tables outside as offerings to the dead, and they were called soul cakes.
Okay.
And so some historians believe that these cakes work what will inevitably inspire hot cross buns. Have you ever had a hot cross bun?
I'm just thinking of the song.
I don't know what that is.
Hot cross buns, like that song.
No, I don't know.
I got a lot to play you during the break.
No. So hot cross buns are like this delicious bun that you get during Easter time.
No, I know what a hot cross bun is, but there's also a song that's very
okay. So again, this is where we see this intersectionality though of Catholicism and pagans. Because the pagans are making these soul cakes with little crosses on them as an offering for the dead to come to dumb dinner. But then we see them later being used by Christians as a way to honor Jesus. And there's like a lot, like again, getting deep into the weird stuff I learned in Catholic school, but like hot cross buns, like the spices that they use in them are supposed to be the same spices they use in embalming. And like orange peel reflects the bitterness of his time on the cross. There's a lot to it. But again, it could just come from this pagan tradition.
Okay.
Instead of letting the food go to waste, people typically shared their uneaten ghost food with the less fortunate. So hungry people would make their way around going door to door asking for the spirit leftovers. Medieval poor people, including children, would approach homes on Samhain, or it starts to get called All Hallows Tide, and ask for something to eat in return for a song and a prayer. The people who begged for these foods were called soulers.
Solars?
Soulers. S-O-U-L-E-R.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I just like, wait, hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean to tell me trick-or-treating is corporatized begging?
Yeah. That's my next sentence. By the Middle Ages, once most pagan holidays had been adopted and tweaked by Christians, this is where we see the early trick-or-treating emerge.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to take a break?
Yeah, I mean, like, I always knew that, like, and weirdly, like, no one's ever actually told me that information, but I weirdly always just had a feeling that what you just said was true.
Mm-hmm.
That like, yeah, this had to have started out somewhere.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, give me some candy.
Yeah.
But like, it used to have to not been candy.
It was soul cakes. It was these little cross cakes.
Which are sweet.
Yeah, they're sweet. They're sweet buns.
Whew. All right, with that, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, you're going to tell me what?
More stuff.
And we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
Okay, so where we left off?
I was just going to say I got a snack.
Okay.
And I let the dog out.
Yeah.
And then I sat down. Mm-hmm. And honestly, this episode's making me feel a lot better already.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it during the break. Like an imaginary headless man whipping a horse that may or may not also be a fairy.
Yep.
With the spinal column of a corpse that he may or may not have found.
Yep.
Because he's the embodiment of a dead god that fought St. Patrick.
Yep.
That, much less depressing than last episode. I was like, that's whimsical.
Yeah.
That's the type of whimsy that I come to on this podcast to take my mind off of all the horrors of the world.
Exactly. We're trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay, so listen, where did we leave off? Oh, poor people begging for food.
Yeah, poor people begging for food.
So there's
whimsical.
That. Whimsical.
Okay.
So
they're begging for the food, and then people are like, "Hey, well, I have leftover cakes that I made for my dead great grandmother
and meals. They left out full meals."
Yeah.
Okay. So what actually happens is historically this idea of these groups of people in the Middle Ages that were called solars that are going door to door during Samhain to ask for the leftover food from the dumb dinner.
Yeah.
This is actually the birth of mumming.
Mumming?
Uh-huh,
really?
Mumming.
Okay.
So to our listeners
who
may not know about one of the biggest Philadelphia traditions of all time, Mummers Day Parade. The Mummers Day Parade was started by Irish immigrants and then adopted by Italian immigrants, and actually it became like a huge melting pot.
Yeah.
Really kind of, I don't want to say personifies, but in a lot of ways it does, like the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's like has all the immigrants involved. They all put their different niches in it. It's got a lot of energy, a lot of drunken stuff, and man, does it have a lot of stuff that is horrible about it as well.
Yeah.
Just so very Philadelphia.
Yeah. If you ever want to see a transphobe cross-dress, this is your time.
Yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
And, do you want to
see a man? Do you want to see a man who screams, "Hey, stop trying to show that filth to my kid," as he publicly urinates in front of children?
Yeah.
Mummers Day Parade.
Mummers Day Parade.
Yeah.
Do you want to watch a grown man try to convince you that blackface should be allowed? Mummers Day Parade.
Because he'll be, hey, it's not blackface.
It's
I
blue.
used green paint.
Yeah.
That's an actual argument that I've seen take place in Philadelphia newspapers.
Yeah, and the mayor had to get involved.
Yeah, and be like, we're going to cut it off.
We're going to stop doing this parade if you guys can't get it together.
All right, we're going to, you know what? We're going to reverse the parade this year.
Yeah, you walk in the other direction.
Yeah, it really fucked them up. It really did.
Handle it.
They actually had counter protest where they walk the opposite direction.
But they're all so drunk that
they don't know what they're doing.
They didn't know what happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the idea of mumming originates from the idea of groups of friends and family who would dress in disguise and visit homes in their community during the 12 days of Christmas. So this Samhain bleeds into the Christmas holiday, right?
Yeah.
And the mummers at this time would be welcomed into a house. Again, they're in costume, and they would do informal performances, dance, music, jokes. They would recite poems and stories. And this we see in like the modern Mummers Day Parade. There's all these different parts of it. There's string bands. There's the comedy. Oh my God, I'm going to get roasted for not remembering this right now. There's all these different types of mummers, and so there's the big string bands that play the music. There's the guys that do the comedy skits. There's the guys that just march and run around like Froggy with the little umbrellas.
Froggy car, yeah.
So there's all different things, and so this all comes from this original idea of like dancing, music, jokes. And so the hosts would welcome the mummers into their homes, offering them food and drink. And then you would try to guess their identity because the mummers are in costume, a lot of them cross-dressing. So it was like part of it is that the men would be wearing their wives' dresses. And you know, that was part of the whole bit.
Yeah.
And this actually still happens in Philly to this day. If you go to 2 Street, which is 2nd Street, in Pennsport, at the end of the parade, everyone that lives on 2 Street will leave their doors unlocked and invite you in, and they'll have like, oh my God, 87 crock pots of fucking meatballs. So many kibasis. So many kibasis. And so you can just go walk up and down the neighborhood, go into somebody's house. Somebody will give you a sandwich, sit down, get to talk to everybody. So this whole idea starts within Samhain, but then gets moved to Christmas. Again, because Christians are bringing Christianity in, things are getting shifted to different holidays.
Yeah. So while you've been talking, I just went to Google Images, right? And I typed in Mummers Parade.
Yeah.
And it took me to a couple of different things. But along the top, you know, when you first get there, when you first go to it, it's going to show you the string bands, what Mrs. P is talking about, especially the big fancy brigades and like the flashy costumes of modern day Philadelphia. Now, part of that's also because of where I am Googling this from, because Google knows that I'm near Philadelphia. However, as you go across the top here, they'll have different things when you type in Mummers Parade. And as you start going over, if you go to Canada, Canada is the classic Mummers Parade of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then if you go even deeper and you start looking at Christmas traditions, Mummers festivals, those different types of things, you start to realize it's more about obscuring your face and more about having a mask on, while the Philadelphia Mummers Parade is more about not really obscuring your face and really just showing off all your fancy feathers.
Yeah, fancy feathers. And your
fancy
gold
spangles,
shoes. You gotta have gold shoes.
Gold shoes, all those different things. But this is all just how these different things grow over time.
One of the historical landmarks of Philadelphia is when you walk down Broad Street the day after New Year's Day, you will see hundreds of outlines of shoes with gold. Well, there'll be gold spray paint with shoe outlines all over Broad Street, because all the mummers are spray painting their shoes sparkly gold.
Yep.
So you just
and it's not any particular shoe. It's just like their white New Balances that they wear to work.
Whatever.
Listen, we all gotta have gold shoes.
Gotta have gold shoes.
Yep.
Okay. So just what you said. They're keeping their faces obstructed. They're going in, they're putting on these little skits, and then the neighbors, the friends, have to guess who it is.
Yeah.
So like, yo, it's fucking Tommy. That's definitely Tommy. And then as soon as they like make their guesses after the thing, everybody takes off their face masks and disguises, and then they hang out and get drunk.
Yeah.
And then sometimes they move to the next home. So the tradition lives. It's just I could do a whole episode on the Mummers Day Parade, but I'm not gonna. So, as Christianity gained a foothold in the pagan communities, church leaders attempted to reframe Samhain and make it into a Christian celebration.
Yeah.
The first attempt was from Pope Boniface in the 5th century. He moved the celebration to May 13th.
Oh, that's pronounced Bonerface.
Okay, yeah, Bonerface. So he moved
I'm joking. It's Boniface. I just was joking.
No, I know you're joking.
Oh, okay.
But I think he's a boner face for moving Halloween to May.
Well, yeah.
Because that's lame.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It needs to be a little bit chilly out.
It does need to be chilly, and you need to have the leaves. The leaves need to be dying.
You need to be crunching on leaves.
There needs to be a little bit of death in the air for Halloween.
And you need to eat a mallow cup. You can only eat mallow cups once a year.
Yeah, that's really a Halloween only.
It's Halloween only, and you can't eat a mallow cup in May.
Remember that time when I got a bag of mallow cups, and it was like earlier in the year, and both of us agreed, like we threw out half the bag.
Couldn't do it.
It was kind of gross.
You can only eat them during Samhain.
I really can only eat them. Yeah, it has to be end of October, beginning November.
If you tell me you want me to eat a mallow cup in May, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah.
So he tried to make it a day to celebrate the saints and martyrs. Moving it away from fire festivals.
Boo,
lame.
This sounds like a fire festival. FYRE.
Whoa. In the 9th century, however, Pope Gregory moved the celebration back to the original time of fire festival, so October area. Let's go. But he declared November 1st All Saints Day and November 2nd All Souls Day. Those are church days.
Yeah.
So you had to go to church. At least on All Saints Day, I think I had to go to church growing up.
So he's keeping the hey, this is really about saints. This is really about saints, not every dead person.
No,
not your family's dead.
No.
This is about the church's dead.
You're gonna get away from that. Yeah, you're gonna get away from that. We got to get back to God and the martyrs.
Gotcha.
Neither new holiday did away with the pagan aspects of the celebration. October 31st becomes known as All Hallows Eve and or Halloween. And still contains much of the traditional pagan practices. So what happens is in the 19th century, when Irish immigrants come to America, they bring All Hallows Eve. So they bring Samhain with them. It's in the context of Catholicism in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But they're still bringing the pagan traditions. And that's where we get the trick-or-treating and the carved pumpkins and all of like the idea of a headless horseman in Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
Like all of these things, this is all started from Irish immigrants, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
What?
Well, as I was doing my research, I, of course, was looking at a perspective of what I knew growing up.
Yeah.
But across the world, this is something that we see in almost every culture. Every culture has something like this. And so when I looked at the history of people in China and like what they did, they have a ghost festival called Teng Chai, which we sometimes call the Lantern Festival now. The Ghost Festival is a traditional Chinese holiday celebrated on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. And the Buddhists in China believe that the Ghost Festival originated from the scriptures of Buddhism, but many of the ceremonies and traditions originate from Chinese folk religion and other folk traditions. So the Ghost Festival is said to occur the day when the ghosts of hell roam the earth seeking food and entertainment.
Okay.
The ghosts are believed to be your ancestors or those who you have forgotten to pay tribute to them after they died, or they were never given a proper burial or ritual send-off. They're described as having long, thin necks because they haven't been fed by their family.
Oh.
Family members offer prayers, food, and drinks, and burn banknotes, paper houses, and paper cars to please the ghosts.
Yeah, I've heard about the burning of like the fake banknotes.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I've heard about that one, and it is funny. It's very funny that, you know, obviously different cultures come to things. It's that parallel thought. Come to things around the same time. But this would lead in if I was really crazy. I'd be like, you know why they all believe that? Lemuria.
Oh my God.
Because the lemurs told them to.
Lotus-shaped lanterns are lit and set afloat rivers to guide the lost spirits through the sea. And this also allows forgotten ancestors to go back to hell. That's literally a quote, back to hell. I think there is some lost in translation situations happening here.
Yeah.
Additionally, during this evening, incense is burnt in the front doors, and some shops close. Some shops close but leave their windows and doors open so that the spirits can come in and out. Fresh fruit is put out on windowsills, altars of incense. Monks and priests would hold ceremonies to relive the pain of the spirits released from hell. And it is believed that ghosts are released when the night comes to an end. They also throw rice in the air to distribute food to the ghosts. During the festival, there are numerous taboos that are believed to bring bad luck or attract spirits. For instance, people aren't allowed to pick up money or wear red because it's believed to attract ghosts. You're not supposed to step on or accidentally kick any of the offerings, so the food that might be on the street. If that was to happen, you have to immediately apologize out loud and beg for forgiveness so you don't disrespect the ghosts.
So this is a lot of yelling, "Sorry, ghosts."
Sorry, ghosts. If you like step on the rice or the fruit that's outside. So again, I just like the correlation here. It's like your ancestors are coming back. We're putting out food. We're opening our windows. Again, it's similar times a year. The lunar calendars are really hard to line up from different societies and calendars. So like it was hard for me to try to figure out exactly what this was. I do know that when you look up Teng Chai, it's Tengchieh. That also translates to Lantern Festival, which is a different thing. Yeah. But I believe it's like it all comes from the same thing from what I was reading. So like it used to be this ghost the Ghost Festival, and now it's more of a Lantern Festival where we see the beautiful tigers all lit up as lanterns, and
when people releasing the lanterns up into the sky. And there's, you know, we've had, because there's Chinese lantern lantern festivals that happen around us, around here, and like I think a lot more people have them in their communities.
For sure.
They look really beautiful too with the lanterns taking off.
They're
in the
so
sky.
fun. Yeah. The other one that's a big one that I think I would be remiss to not bring up is Dia los de Muertos, Day of the Dead. Right? So this is a holiday traditionally celebrated on November 1st and 2nd, right after Halloween. This one also can go from October 31st to November 6th. So again, like a week potentially. It's depending on the locality. So when I started to look at Mexico, different areas celebrate differently and for different lengths of time. So it really just depended where you were from and your Mexican heritage, how long you celebrated the Day of the Dead.
Okay.
The difference I would say with the Day of the Dead, there's a lot of differences, but then what maybe the Irish were doing is it has much less of a solemn tone. It's like way more fun. Joyful celebration rather than mourning, rather than fear. Like it's not like ooky spooky, we gotta look out, or we gotta look out for the spirits of our ancestors that are mad and gonna drag us to hell. Like it's not that at all. It's a celebration. Indigenous Mexican and ancient Aztec influences account for the customs, and it has been a way to remember Mexican culture, right? So it's a multi-day holiday involving family, friends, gathering to pay respects to members who have died. These celebrations often take a humorous tone as celebrants remember family, funny events, anecdotes about people that have departed. Traditions connected with the holiday include honoring the deceased with, I'm going to ruin this one, calaveras, which is sugar skulls. Right? Mm-hmm. And marigold flowers. So you're always going to see marigold flowers during the Day of the Dead. They would build altars in their homes called ofrendas, which have the favorite food and beverages of the departed. So whatever your favorite food is, yours would be like butterscotch, crimpets, and Fireball. I'd put that on yours.
Yeah. Because you're really good at picking out gifts for people.
Gifts for people.
Yeah.
And then sometimes certain people don't do that at their house. They'd go to the graves and leave a beautiful altar on the grave with their favorite gifts, their favorite food, their favorite drinks. Now, the celebration is not solely focused on the dead. It's also common to give gifts to friends, such as the sugar skulls or pan de muerta, which translates to bread of the dead, which is the gluten-free bakery I'm opening called Bread of the Dead. I have to do it. It's written in stone. So they give each other the pan de muerta to friends and family, and guess what? I'm gonna get into it, but pan de muerta is like a hot cross bun. So, the other thing that they would do is they write, as like part of the jokes of that they're doing that day when they're celebrating with their family, they often write lighthearted and irreverent verses and make mock epitaphs, the inscriptions on tombstones, dedicated to their friends and loved ones. So like as part of the celebration for like when they're all hanging out, they start saying like, yo, it'd be on your tombstone. That's like, and then they make up little like rhymes about what would be on your tombstone, and this is like part of the holiday tradition.
So instead of like writing, what's the blurb you write in a high school yearbook?
Yeah,
of like, most likely to succeed, most likely like, hey, you know what we're gonna say about you when you're dead?
Yeah, here lies a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
we gotta make it rhyme.
Yeah,
and it's gotta be good.
Yeah,
okay,
that's a good limerick.
I'm gonna be one of those people that has like a cool recipe on their headstone.
Let me see if I can play this real quick. Just
okay,
because
go ahead.
You keep saying you don't know what it is. Yeah, that's hot cross buns. You don't remember that?
No, what was it from?
Hot cross buns, hot cross buns.
I can read the Wikipedia
one a penny,
page.
2 a penny, hot cross buns. It's a nursery rhyme.
It's a nursery rhyme?
Yeah. It says here, English. It's an English street cry, later perpetuated as a nursery rhyme and an aid in musical education. Oh, musical education. You didn't have one of those.
Okay. So
because you went to Catholic school.
There it is.
Yeah. But yeah, it refers
I was busy eating hot cross buns in Catholic school. I didn't have time to learn a song about them.
It refers to the spiced English confection known as a hot cross bun, which is associated with the end of Lent and is eaten on Good Friday in various countries.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, it's a
except in my family, we ate Fashnots because we have the Polish-Russian side. So
yeah,
we ate hot cross buns at school and then Fashnots at home. Lent. Or no, wait. The end of Lent. I'm getting confused. I have to get back to what I was talking about.
Okay.
So...
You just kept bringing up hot cross buns. I was like,
no, because I think it's interesting
that everybody has
across
them.
the world when we're talking about the beginning of harvest season, where across the globe people are like, "Hey, this is the one time a year, this 1 week, spirits can come through," and across the globe they're like, and they really like this very specific type of bun.
Yeah,
like it's really interesting to me that it's across the way.
It's also one of those things too where it's the beginning of the harvest season, right? Mm-hmm. Or the beginning or the end? Can't remember.
It's the beginning of the harvest.
Okay.
Well, it's the last harvest.
It's the last harvest, right? So before we're about to go in for winter.
Yeah.
So when you're going to start rationing and all those different things, and you know exactly how much food you have left, right?
Yeah.
So this is the extra.
Yeah, it's just like the.
But that's why you're going to make it sweeter. That's why you're going to make it, more fun.
No, ghosts like it. Okay. Have a good time.
All right.
So then, here's the other thing. We're talking about the inscriptions on the tombstones and how funny that is. There's also, I'm going to fuck this up, a thing called Calaveras Literas, which translates to literary skulls.
Yeah.
It's a distinctive literary form that exists within this holiday, where people write short poems, traditionally that rhyme, which are mocking and lighthearted epitaphs dedicated to friends and classmates, living or dead, but also public and historical figures, describing their interesting habits, attitudes, as well as comedic or absurd anecdotes that use death-related imagery. And there's a lot of Grim Reapers involved. But, pardon me, this custom originated in the 18th or 19th century, but it can be really pinpointed down to when this one newspaper published a poem narrating a dreamer who was in a cemetery in the future, which included the words, "and all of us were dead." And then the narrator proceeds to read all the tombstones of the people around him. Current newspapers today dedicate Calaveras to public figures, and they're often shown with illustrations with cartoon skeletons. And there's a really famous one by this Mexican illustrator named Jose Guadalupe Posada. And he drew this one image called La Calavera Catrina, and she's shown wearing a very fashionable 20th century hat. Posada's most famous print, called The Elegant Skull, and it was intended as a criticism of the Mexican upper-class women who imitated European fashions. And when he published it, it was the funny little anecdote was about making fun of working-class vendors who sold chickpeas, but dressed like Europeans. Yes, that's the picture.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
And so Posada's image of this skeletal figure with a big hat with two big ostrich feathers and flowers, the marigolds, was made into big frescoes all across Mexico. And actually, it is now considered like the image of the Day of the Dead. So Catarina figures, you'll see them everywhere for Day of the Dead. She is like the picture. Like that image was put on people's cars. There's Catarina themed artwork. People have tattoos. I even found a COVID-19 mask with her print on it. Like she is part of the story now.
Well, it's also one of those things too, because I'm looking at the image and like how that has spread. It's also his art style becomes an iconic part of it, to the point where, this art style is very similar to what they use in the movie Coco.
Yeah. Oh.
Alex
can't watch Coco.
Fuck that movie.
Made me cry.
Yeah. Fuck that movie.
Cried really hard.
Yeah. I don't need to be fucking reminded of an Alzheimer's grandma. When I'm sitting here with my own baggage with Alzheimer's grandmas.
Yep.
That's not how Alzheimer's... Again, another movie where that's not how Alzheimer's works. He's going to
start talking about The Notebook. He's going to start talking about The Notebook. Oh, no.
Alzheimer's doesn't fucking work that way.
Oh, no, not The Notebook.
Okay,
so traditionally people would build private altars called ofrendas containing the favorite foods and beverages as well as photos and memorabilia of the departed.
Yeah, I remember that from Coco.
Okay, the intent was to encourage visits by their family members, by the souls, and they would hope that, again, leaving their doors or windows open. Sometimes different people would put altars in more public spaces, such as schools and libraries, so that it would be a more collective version of this, where like you would hope all of the souls would come to the main area of town.
Yeah.
During the 3-day period, families would usually clean and decorate the graves of their loved ones with marigolds. These flowers are specifically thought to attract the souls of the dead because they're bright and they have a strong scent. And so the idea is that the smell of them can help guide souls from the cemeteries to their family's home. Now, this is sad. Toys are brought to the dead children's graves. They're called Los Angelitos, the little angels. So people would bring toys to children's graves, but they'd bring bottles of tequila or mezcal for adults.
Yeah. That's an adult toy.
Yeah. Families would also offer...
Eat the worm.
Also
Eat the worm.
Offer trinkets for deceased favorite candies. There'd be like... This is the one time of year you can put anything and everything that your loved ones liked on there, right?
Yeah.
Now, some people believe... Okay, so in the ofrendos, they're making the food. They're putting food on the ofrendos always. It's your loved one's favorite food. So if they were really into pizza, you'd have a pizza out. And if they were really into, butterscotch crimpets, there'd be many boxes of butterscotch crimpets.
Yeah.
So they believe... Some people, I'm not going to say everybody, but they believe that the spirit of the dead eat the spiritual essence of the ofrendos food. Okay. So they eat the spiritual essence of the food. So it's thought that when you eat that food after the celebrations, it has no nutritional value.
It's calorie free.
Calorie free, baby.
So is this where we get Coke Zero from? Is Coke Zero just regular Coke that ghosts have drank between November 1st and November 3rd?
That's what makes it different than Diet Coke.
Okay, that's the difference between Coke Zero and Diet Coke.
Yes, exactly.
Diet Coke has aspartame.
Coke Zero has been drank by spirits. So
therefore it has 0 calories.
Yeah.
Use the offer code Pearlmania500. We're never getting Coke money.
Listen... Wow.
Yeah, you know what? That was a very pregnant sentence. We're never getting Coke money. Oh, wow.
Pillows and blankets are also left out so the deceased can rest after their long journey home.
Or maybe they just ate so much they need a little sleep.
You gotta take a little nap. You ate so much.
Yeah.
In some parts of Mexico, people spend all night beside the graves of their relatives. In many places, people have picnics at the grave sites as well. One thing, tamales, oh my God, tamales, are one of the most common dishes prepared on this day. So when it comes to Day of Dead, it's tamale day, baby.
Okay,
and
good to know.
I don't know how many of our listeners ever made a tamale. There's a reason it's a once-in-a-while treat. It takes a lot of work.
Yep.
But they're so fucking delicious.
Yes, they are.
Oh my God. So tamales are the main dish of the day, and the bread of the dead, pan de muerto, sweet roll with a little cross on top, topped with sugar. Also, very funnily enough, if you look at some of them, the cross that they put on top kind of has little bulbous ends at the end of each cross, so it looks like bones.
Oh.
So their cross looks a little bit more like 2 bones crisscrossed on the top. Love it. Big fan. In addition to food and drinks, which are always important part of these holidays, historically, the main alcoholic drink was called pulque. But a lot of families drink hibiscus tea, which is, delicious.
Yeah.
Fucking sweet tea. I love it too. Now, the other thing is I got really into the food on Day of the Dead. I was like, wow, this food stuff. The Irish, I was like, we don't even have potatoes yet.
Yeah. It was all pre-potato Irish.
So I was like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah. Mexico
has
always had potatoes.
They had a good time. So, mukbil polo, I'm probably saying that wrong. Mukbil polo is the traditionally prepared food of October 31st to November 1st. It's eaten by the family for basically the whole week. And it's basically a giant tamale. I looked it up. It's a huge kind of circle, like if a tamale and a pizza got together. It's a flat, round tamale.
Okay.
Pork lard stuffed with pork or chicken, tomato, garlic, onions, spices, and tea leaves, but they're like a very specific type of tea leaf. It's wrapped in banana leaves, steeped in special sauces and meat broths and habanero chilies, and then steamed in an underground oven for several hours. And then once it's fully cooked underground, they dig it up and you eat it for like the whole week. It looks amazing.
Yeah.
I was like a giant.
I've never heard of this.
Flat tamale, but it's very specific to this holiday because you make it on the 31st and then you eat it for the whole week.
Yeah. And it has no calories because ghosts have snacked on it.
No calories. And there's pork lard. What a time to be alive or dead.
See, if the movie Coco had just been about making that, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
It didn't have the grandma remembering her dead lover at the end of the fucking movie.
Oh my God. Listen, I didn't want to talk about Coco because I know how it hurt.
Then why'd you bring up the Day of the Dead?
Because it's important to look at the
well, you
fact
know they're
that
branded.
So many cultures have a similar thought process.
No, you know that the Day of the Dead is forever branded in my mind, okay, with Disney's movie Coco, released in 2017, and I did not know at the end of that fucking movie that they were going to have the grandma have her memories come back. She's just sitting there. She's a husk of a person.
Okay.
And after he goes into the afterlife where his grandfather is there.
He does not handle Disney movies well.
No, I don't handle Disney movies that don't handle Alzheimer's well.
He doesn't.
And dementia, okay?
Yeah, I know.
All right?
I know.
They could have put a content warning on the content warning. If the movie The Notebook sent you into a rage,
oh my God,
don't watch Disney's Coco.
I cannot describe to you how The Notebook infuriates him. So there's a term, and I'm going to say it wrong.
Okay.
It's called calavereta. Calavereta? That is what they call children in costumes roaming the streets, knocking on people's doors, asking for small gifts of candy or money. They also ask passerbyers on the street. Similar to Halloween's trick-or-treating, but there's no component of mischief. So, like, if you don't give them a treat, they're not egging your house.
Okay.
It's just like, it's very trick-or-treat, but it's also doesn't have the, like, if you don't give it to us, we're toilet paper in your house.
It's more or less just or treat.
Yeah. It's
Let's go right to or treat.
But, like, and also there's trinkets. It's not just candy. Again, like, the one thing that I found really interesting is that a lot of traditions varied from town to town. For example, there's one town where on November 1st of the year after a child's death, the godparents set a table in the parents' home with sweets and fruits and pan de muerta and rosaries and candles and stuff. And this is meant to celebrate the child's life in respect to the appreciation for the parents. There's also dancing in colorful costumes, often with the sugar skulls. At midnight on November 2nd, those people in that family would then light candles and ride winged boats called mariposas to an island in the middle of a lake where they had the cemetery. So a big event every year, right?
That seems like a lot.
But that's only one town. And then if you look at a different town, people would open their doors to visitors in exchange for, veladuras, which is a small wax candle. So, like, you would knock on someone's door and they would give you a candle and then you'd be invited in for a meal, and it was usually tamales. So it was like you come in, you get some tamales, you give them a candle, and you light the candle for your dead family member. And it was sometimes usually only done in some towns. It was like only if you knew someone that had died that year. In some towns, it was everybody, right? And then the other tradition that I thought was really interesting is there was one town, they have a tradition called, La Danza de los Vietos, which is the dance of the old men, where boys and young men dress like their grandfathers and crouch and jump in a silly, energetic dance while dressed as old men.
I love that.
I think it's so funny.
I want an old man dance.
It's so funny.
I want to. You know what? Now that I'm getting older, the first year where somebody old man dances at me I'd be the most hurt. The second year, I'd be down for it. Yeah. Whatever. But year one, it would hurt a lot.
Ouch. She'd be like, "You're right. I do have gray hair. Damn.
Stop it." I'm skipping gray. I'm going right to white.
So, and then the rest of my notes are really just like everywhere I looked, like as I was looking up different cultures, I found like very similar things. So like in Sicily, people would put specifically red candles and cakes with fruit in them out in their windowsills for the dead. Muslim countries, they don't do Halloween. They don't do anything like pagan. However, there are some traditions. There was one, I'm going to mispronounce this, called Gregorian, which happens like right in the 15th night of Ramadan, where children get dressed up in traditional attire and go door to door and receive sweets and nuts from their neighbors, and they sing traditional songs as a thank you. And that happens in like Kuwait and different Arab countries.
Okay.
So like, again, just like looking at Halloween as like this thing that we have in America. But when I was more expanding on how all the different cultures that we in America, because there's so many different cultures, how every culture has taken a different interpretation and also has affected the holiday as a whole.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting and fun. But except for the trunk or treats.
Yeah.
I think they have affected it negatively.
Yeah, no, I think it's very neat. Well, yeah. I mean, and obviously to people out there who are like, well, all we have is trunk or treat.
Yeah, I understand.
We're sorry.
We're being jerks.
We're sorry on your behalf because you're being
a jerk because I just like having kids roam the neighborhood because that's how I grew up, and it was better when I was younger.
I like having kids show up at our door. I like opening the door and see, like the first year when we moved here and there were kids. There's so many different types of Spider-Man.
Oh my God, love Spider-Man.
So many types of Spider-Mans. And so many types of princesses and all the different stuff. And they'd show up and be like, this is great. And then the next year was nobody. And then we were driving around. We just kept seeing trunk or treats everywhere. I was like, that's why there's no kids.
No kids around.
Because the kids already got the candy. So why would they come visit me?
Yeah.
Which makes me sound, honestly, that makes me sound like a witch. The kids already got the candy. So they're not going to visit me here in the woods.
Yeah, but also I know that the tradition of Halloween is still alive outside of just trunk or treats, which I'm sure are very fun.
Yeah.
We have friends who take their kids to trunk or treats.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
But like I was thinking when we lived, still living in South Philly, like how much fun the neighborhood kids had, because we had one family that had just moved to America, and it was the little kids' first Halloween ever. Yeah, and they were so fucking excited. Yeah. Someone explained to them what Halloween was. Yeah. And they were like, what do you fucking mean? Yeah. And I'll never forget, I was outside, and when you live in a row home, you don't have a lot of decorating area.
Privacy decorating area. Yeah.
And so I only had like a railing. And so I was decorating my railing with like spider webs, and like I put like a ooky spooky wreath up on the door or something. And the kids from down the street came running up and they were like, oh my God, are you decorating for Halloween? Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, we just found out about Halloween. And I was like, I know, it's so fun. They're like, oh my God, we are so excited. Yeah. And we were the first house they knocked on. They were so hype. They came back 3 times. I think they didn't really understand the rules. Yeah. But they definitely
because also not everyone on our block was doing Halloween because some of them were shooting up heroin.
Okay. Wow.
Well, I just want to, don't draw too nice of a picture.
Listen, they had lights off and their doors were closed for good reason.
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't draw too nice of a picture.
But so it was super fun to see Halloween through a child's viewpoint, especially their first Halloween, just finding out about it. So anyway, I do love Halloween. She's still my 3rd favorite because Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yeah. But I love Halloween, and that's why we had to have a Ookie Spooky month.
Yeah. No, I miss Halloween being bigger. Yeah. I definitely miss Halloween being bigger. The most depressed I got during the pandemic, though, was during Halloween. That was the absolute most depressed day I had, was Halloween during the pandemic.
Wait, no. When all the kids came down the hallway? No, that was so fun.
Was the year before.
Oh,
so in 2019, we were living in that apartment complex. And the apartment complex, for the listeners, had a I want to say like 40% of the apartment complex were Indian families. Yeah. So a lot of Indian families, a lot of kids. And I bought like a couple bags of candy. Yep. First door knock of the day. This is 2019. Open the door. There's like 3 or 4 kids there. And I'm giving them big handfuls of candy because I'm not thinking we're going to get it. Yeah. And the one mom looks up and she goes, you shouldn't give out that much. Yeah. I'm like, it's fine. She goes, okay, wait, no, you have no idea.
I need to immediately stop you and take over this story.
Because I'm getting to the next part.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to tell the rest of the story?
No, I'll let you do it.
Because, I mean, you do this to me all the time where I try to come in and add a little flavor.
No, okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I'm giving out big handfuls of candy. Dumb handfuls of candy. And again, it's 3 or 4. The mom like looks down the hall, which is, you need to, I'm like, whatever. And I finish and I close the door and I was like, all right, good kids. And then about 2 minutes later, there's a knock on the door.
Yep.
And I open the door and there are 65 children.
Yep.
65 kids. And they're dressed as Captain America, Black Panther.
Black Panther that year was big.
Big Black Panther year. All these different kids, all of them are dressed as Marvel and firemen and princesses and all sorts of different stuff. Yeah. And I legit am like trying to just give out one piece, and I realize I can't reach every kid, and it's a mob of them. So if I'm just throwing candy over the kids, and then I'm just like, all right, we're out. And I just slammed the door shut. And I just heard them, because you could hear them go through the whole building then.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to, okay.
Okay, but that was 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have to add into this. So where we were living in this apartment complex, it was 2 stories. Yeah. Right? And like he said, there was a lot of, most of our neighbors were Indian or Pakistani. Yep. And everybody like knew everybody.
Everybody knew everybody.
Which was wonderful.
Yeah. So nobody knew us though.
A big sense of community. Our front neighbors knew us. They were like, you're nice.
Yeah.
But so when that moment happened, and when we opened that door, and it was like the whole hallway was packed, wall to wall kids. Yep. Just every inch was covered in kids. And on
each end there was a mom.
Yeah. So each end has
one mom in the front, one mom in the back.
And so when they were walking past us, because they were going up the stairs to go upstairs to trick or treat at those doors, I asked the one mom, and she explained to me that all the moms in the apartment complex had gotten together. And they had gotten all the kids, and there were packs. It was like, there was like 6 packs of moms with 40 kids, or 2 moms, 40 kids, roaming around the apartment complex in these huge groups. Yep. And so we were like, what? We were ill prepared, because we didn't know it was our first year at that apartment.
Yep. And we didn't know how many kids there were in the apartment. Yeah. And we didn't know how many people were coming through. So that was 2019.
So wait, then we did send him out. I just want to clarify. You drove to ShopRite that night and bought more candy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I did.
You did, because I was like, we got to be ready. And so he manically drove to the grocery store, got more candy, just because there were just so many packs.
So many kids,
and they were having so much fun, and it was so cute, and I was so happy,
because I thought I could get away with like one big bag. Yeah. And then I quickly discovered that night that we lived in a 4 big bag apartment complex. Yeah. So again, that's 2019. Yeah. Then 2020 hits, the pandemic hit. Yeah. And I'm like, how are they going to do the kids? Yep. There's all these kids.
So many.
Trick-or-treating. And you're watching the news, and different people talking about, there was people who were building chutes to like drop the candy down to the road for people. And when we talked to a couple of our neighbors, and a few of them were like, oh, we're going to make little buckets. Yeah. And, there was kind of a consensus that had gone around that like people who are going to trick-or-treat with their kids, they're going to set up candy stations in front of each of the buildings in the apartment complex that the kids can come up and just take 1 or 2 or whatever. Yeah. So the one neighbor in front of us, they made like little packets, and each one had like a dum-dum and I think like a spider ring and a few other things. Yeah. And they lovingly handcrafted. And there was probably like 100 in there. Yeah. And then we had a bucket, and each of them had like, with a bunch of different types of candy. I've been like, made sure there's a good mix, all this different stuff. And Halloween came, and Halloween went. Yeah. And I went back out, and no one had taken a single piece of candy from any of the buckets. Yeah. And I remember walking back and picking my bucket up and walking back into our apartment and just crying. I was just like, because it was Halloween's like the one thing I felt like as an American kid, any kid living in America, like no one can take Halloween from you. Yeah. Like they can't. You would always hear the shitty people who are like, oh, the poor kids are bussing over to the good town to do Halloween. I was like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah. It's what you have to do. If you live in the nice neighborhood that's fun to be trick-or-treated in, that's what you literally paid for that. Yeah. You paid to be in that town. And so seeing that get destroyed for that 1 year like really broke me. Yeah. And then like there also is that sea change too, because again, we then moved here to our current home in that was 2021. Yeah. And there was some trick-or-treating going around, but even then when I was talking to people, like, it's less than it was. Like, there was more of a sense. And so, like, there still is that ramification, that ripple from the pandemic that I thought really did something and really kind of hurt my brain. And I still, that was, for me, the peak of 2020 sadness was that moment. And then I was like, what else is going to be like Christmas? And people, people don't carol anymore. Yeah. Christmas, and I was like, oh, well, people aren't going to get together. I was like, well, that makes sense. But it was like just the idea that you couldn't go door to door and get candy and wear your little costumes.
Yeah.
And just feel that sense of just being able to also walk around and feel safe.
Yeah.
Like you're just a kid who couldn't walk around and feel safe. It just fucked me up.
I know. It was the worst.
It was bad.
But listen, we're doing it this year. We got the candy. Went to Costco. Went to BJ's. We got the candy.
Yeah.
We're ready, okay?
We're ready.
And I'm not going to dress up as Sonic the Hedgehog.
You're not going to dress up as Pregnant Sonic.
No. I could do Philly Fanatic. That'd be funny.
No, but you could dress up
as.
I could dress up as Sonic, and you could dress up as Dr. Eggman.
Oh, my God. No.
You could be Dr. Robotnik.
No.
Because you got the same belly.
This is not happening.
Why? Why isn't it happening?
No.
Okay.
No, you're inappropriate.
Okay.
But that's the end of my Halloween episode.
It was a great episode.
Thanks.
You brought a lot together.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I had to do better. Not better, but it had to be different than last week.
Yeah.
Had to be different.
It was up. It was definitely up.
I'm bringing it up.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You only mentioned dead kids like 6 times.
Oh my God, sorry.
I was like, why did you even bring this part in?
I'm sorry, it was in the notes.
You wrote the notes.
Oh, you're right.
You could cut that part out.
My
Just
bad.
don't mention the dead kids.
I'm sorry.
But yeah, that's fine. But yeah, this is a really great episode. I'm going to start reading Akatar.
Yep.
A Crown of Thorns and Roses.
Yep.
I'm going to start reading that soon. And then soon this month will be over, and then we'll be on to back to our regular schedule for a little bit.
Yep.
As we build into the parental leave time. So I just want to thank all of our listeners, all the Patreons, all those different people out there who give us your ears every week.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for leaving your awesome reviews on iTunes and messages on Instagram and sending us things in the P.O. box. It's also wonderful, and we're super appreciative.
Yeah, it's been a weird time for everybody out there. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much to everyone out there, and we really, really, really do appreciate you. Mrs. P, last words.
Have a great week.